So the prophet Habakkuk is another minor prophet in the Bible, meaning he has one of those short books of the Bible. With the fall of Nineveh, the capital of the Assyrians, Nahum spoke of God's destruction of the wicked. On that day, God's going to step in and do some pretty wicked things. So now Nahum's younger contemporary, Habakkuk, steps forward and starts tackling questions about why it is, for instance, that the righteous suffer. All of these things are happening to us. The Babylonians are coming in, destroying our city, destroying our temple. Why do bad things happen to good people? We see how it is that this book is made up of 2 cycles. Each cycle contains the prophet complaining and Yahweh responding. So the prophet complains, Yahweh responds. The prophet complains again, Yahweh responds, and then it ends with various oracles that are the alas or the woe oracles. And interestingly, we talked about Nahum just a moment before, whereas Nahum ends with the psalm, we talked about that acrostic, where it begins with different letters. It's actually this prophet Habakkuk who's going to end his book with the psalm. Piece of Habakkuk's theology. Habakkuk talks about why it is that bad things happen to good people. You know, all of this has a meaning when you look at it through the eyes of faith. Isn't that true of illness as well? God, why do I have cancer? Doesn't make sense. Well, when you look at it through the eyes of faith, then maybe that's a way for us to begin making sense of these things. Habakkuk says that individuals and nations should be righteous and live by faith. If you're rich, watch out. Wealth is only temporary. And those who are evil will eventually be punished. Habakkuk talks about how it is that God can step in and overturn an evil nation. How it is that evil will fail in the end. Might doesn't make right. In the end, right will triumph over might. And finally, how it is that we need to trust in God and rejoice in our faith and our relationship with God. That, in a few phrases, is the book of Habakkuk. We have Habakkuk in the New Testament, in the Christian Scriptures. Actually, we do. We see the Christian Scriptures twice quote Habakkuk. The Acts of the Apostles, chapter 13, and also Romans, chapter 1, verse 17, about how it is that we are justified by faith alone. Paul simply takes Habakkuk and turns Habakkuk on its head. So Habakkuk says that if you're righteous, then you trust in God. Paul says, if you trust in God, then you're righteous. Shall we take a look at a few words from Habakkuk, verse 12 of chapter 1? Verse 12 begins with Habakkuk's second complaint. He says, Lord, are you not from everlasting, my God, my Holy One? You will never die. You, Lord, have appointed them to execute judgment. You, my rock, have ordained them to punish. How interesting. As Mario suggested, sometimes it's not just God stepping in to punish us, but sometimes things happen to us that we can perceive God to be punishing us. All these people coming in, stepping into a place like Jerusalem, destroying the temple. Lord, you set them there to punish us. Verse 13, your eyes are too pure to look on evil. You cannot tolerate wrongdoing. Why then do you tolerate the treacherous? Why are you silent while the wicked swallow up those more righteous than themselves? How's that for a question? Why do bad things happen to good people? If good people are being killed, why don't you do anything, God? Verse 14, you have made people like fish in the sea, like the sea creatures that have no ruler. The wicked foe pulls all of them in with hooks and catch them in with nets. So it's like the wicked rulers throw out their nets and catch all of these innocent people. Where do we see an image like this in the Christian Scriptures? Jesus says you will be what? Fishers of men. Not going out and catching innocent people, beguiling them, but of drawing people in. We see that image in Habakkuk. Verse 17, he keeps on emptying his net, destroying nations without mercy. Chapter 2, I will stand at my watch and station myself on the ramparts. I will look to see what he will say to me and what answer I am to give to his complaint. How it is that Habakkuk is going to wait for God to answer. He's asking some good questions. Why do bad things happen to good people? And you know what, Lord? I'm going to stand here and I'm going to wait for an answer. Can take as long as you like. I'm waiting. You may wait a long time. What happens in verse 2 of chapter 2? Do we see that? The Lord answers. So the Lord answers and says to Habakkuk, verse 2, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets. How interesting, the same word. What Moses received on the mountain were tablets. He's told to write down on tablets, stone tablets, what it is that he hears. The revelation that he receives. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of an end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. The revelation will come. He says, see, the enemy is puffed up. Verse 4, his desires are not upright, but the righteous person will live by faithfulness. Indeed, wine betrays him. He is arrogant and never at rest, because he is greedy as the grave, and like death is never satisfied. He gathers to himself all the nations and takes captive all the people. What great images of death. Our ancient ancestors realized how it is that the grave is greedy. It takes everyone eventually. Right? Habakkuk, talking about how it is that those rulers are like that too, trying to take in everyone, but they're going to have their day of judgment.